Alrighty, Mets and overall baseball fans, thank you guys so much for chiming in for the latest breaking news live stream here on the channel as the Metropolitans have brought back their stud setup man from this past season and Adam Ottavino on a 2-year, $14.5 million contract with a player option after the first year. He's basically getting Seth Lugo money, but I mean, for what Ottavino gave you this past year, sign me the heck up. There were concerns that his market would be too expensive. 2 years, $20 million. No, the Mets get him at a really nice price, around $7.25 million over essentially a 2-year span, getting him to his age 40 season. Ottavino, who's absolutely filthy, so good for the Mets as their best option aside from Edwin Diaz, and this bullpen is now returning, but with also having David Robertson in the fold, Brooks Raley, and potentially more. I was working on a video regarding another reliever that we'll be getting into later today in a separate video, or it'll come out tomorrow. We'll see. The Mets are not done making moves, folks, and they just helped fortify their bullpen beautifully, but I do not believe that they are done by any stretch of the imagination. I really think that they are going to do their best to potentially land one more, and if they do land this one more pitcher, this Mets bullpen very well could be the best in all baseball next season. That is how much potential there is, but this is huge. I'm so happy to get Adam Ottavino back. I'll be the first to say, and again, shout out all my members, shout out Insanity, shout out Border, my great friend Dominic, how are you? Great member. Chris, how are you? Chris, I know you got the Ottavino connection there. Hog, how are you, my man? The absolute beauty that covers Padres content. Make sure to check him out. How's it going, Grant? Make sure to check him out at Jenny Metz on Twitter. Trying to get to 50,000 subscribers. Not subscribers, followers for Twitter, I should say. But please make sure to check out Jenny. Does a fantastic job covering all things Mets on Twitter. Such an awesome page. Really, really, really appreciate him and his friendship. But guys, let's talk about this move because I'm really excited. I said it to you all. When the Mets got David Robertson, I thought that that was the Adam Ottavino replacement. It kind of just felt like that was going to be the case. You know, they signed him on a 1-year, $10 million deal, and it made perfect sense as to why Robertson would be the Ottavino replacement, right? They have not drastically different arsenals. They're high in their spin rate, of course, and especially for Robertson, you know, both, 37, 38 years of age, known as a setup man or a save artist, it just seemed like it made perfect sense as to why the Mets got Robertson as a Adam Ottavino replacement. But as we see here, this isn't a replacement because Adam Ottavino's back, and I'm so happy. I mean, I've spoken glowingly of Ottavino all year long. For those that don't remember just how good this guy was this past year, I'm going to get into it in a second. But before I do, all I got to ask is for everyone chiming in, make sure to smash a like and subscribe on. Help us get to a couple hundred likes. Greatly appreciate it. Also, help us get to 25K subs for our next short-term goal. Now that we hit 20K, we're going to be doing a big giveaway on the channel very soon, so stay tuned for that. And, of course, I have to let you all know that today's show is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is your #1 source for all your sports betting needs, so make sure you head over to betonline.ag using promo code Bleav. That way you get a 50% off welcome bonus. BetOnline, it's where the games begin. And now, folks, let's let the show begin. Let's get back into this one, folks. How's it going, Dave? Appreciate you. All my live viewers here, my upwards of 400 at the moment. It's breaking news. I don't think really anyone expected it at this hour. I know there's a lot of people out working right now, but I'm very happy to get into this because Adam Ottavino in his 1 year with the New York Mets, 66 games played, 65.2 innings pitched, a roughly 11K per nine, and a whopping 2.19 walks per nine, which was polar opposite than the year prior for Ottavino, which he had a 5 walks per. Adam Ottavino averages 4 walks per nine in his career, has been abysmal the previous 4 seasons in MLB between 4 and 5 walks per nine. Comes the Mets, Jeremy Hefner gets him right. His walk rate is absolutely beautiful at 2.2 essentially. ERA, amazing, 2.06. Expected ERA, 2.35. FIP, 2.85. FIP, FIP, 2.85. Expected FIP, 2.79. He was so good for the Mets this past year. The fact that the Mets were able to kind of get him on this slight discount is great. Also, for those that aren't aware, Adam Ottavino is a New York native. I do believe that he did grow up a Mets fan as well, so you could tell that as long as the Mets could get him at a price that, made sense for him and his family, and of course for the Mets, not that they have financial constraints right now, because they don't, restraints rather, but they're a team that is not going to be wanting to give out $10+ million on a multi-year deal for a reliever in their late 30s. That's why with Robertson, there isn't even an option after the first year. It's just 1 year, $10 million. If he does great, maybe the Mets will re-sign Robertson to another $10 million deal the following offseason. But Adam Ottavino, this is an awesome get here. I'm very happy with it. And the Mets are not done. They are still looking to add a bat into this lineup, along with potentially adding another reliever, as they have been connected today. And I'm going to go on full length with this. I'll explain it more in a separate video, but the Mets have been connected to star closer, who of course would not be a closer with the Mets, that being in Chicago White Sox, Liam Hendriks. So Hendriks, I'm planning to discuss in a separate video, so stay tuned for that one and or live stream. But the Mets aren't done. Robert, I would appreciate, I know you're a Braves fan in here, but unless you want to get kicked from the chat, I would recommend not coming in here just talk down on the Mets when this is a Mets center channel. I mean, I get it that Braves are in your head because you're a Braves fan, but show a little bit of respect. If not, take a hike. That's all I ask. Justin, what's good, Warrior? Like it, but still need that hot bat. Yeah, and I do believe the Mets are going to land a bat. Absolutely. I do not for a second do I believe that the Mets are done making moves. We saw Billy Epler introduce Justin Verlander today. Him, his wife, Kate Upton. I think a lot of you guys know who that is by now. And their daughter were all in attendance today. I know Mets Up did a great interview that will be dropping later today with Justin Verlander, just like they did with Kodai Senga yesterday. Mets had some great pressers, great to see, and it looks like that they're going to have more. I'm not sure if they're going to do a presser for Ottavino on returning. I think that they will. I know Billy Epler even said to the media today before they party, saying that, you're not leaving town this week at all, are you? Jokingly. And I don't know if that went in hand with the holiday. It kind of felt like he was saying that, be ready. We have more pressers to come. And from everything that I heard within the industry is that the Mets would be making more moves this week. I said it on Twitter heading into the week, guys, that the Mets would be making one or two moves at minimum this week. They already made one in Adam Ottavino. I'm so happy to see this guy back. And I do believe that the Mets will have at least one more move up their sleeve prior to Christmas and getting into the new year and things of that nature. They're not done, but for them to bring Ottavino back is great. I'm so happy. So Mets fans, I'm going to put up a poll here in the live stream in 1 second to ask for your raw opinions on the Mets bringing him back. I think it's great that they were able to do this at $14.5 million over 2 years. Like, really? I mean, again, the market price heading into the offseason for Adam Ottavino seemed like it was far greater. But again, I'm very, very happy. Very, very happy with this. That was a question whether they should or shouldn't re-sign him. They did okay. Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, they re-signed Adam Ottavino. That's why the thumbnail says Mets re-sign Ottavino. There's no question mark for whoever was asking that in the chat. But I do want to put up a poll here in the live stream, so bear with me, guys, and help us get to 100 likes for the first short-term goal. Greatly appreciate it. Again, breaking news, the Mets have brought back their stud reliever in Adam Ottavino, who just had a career season, you could rightfully argue, this past year with the Mets. And, but I mean, outside of what he did with the Yankees in 2019, this was better than what he did with the Yankees in 2019, actually. Had a lower ERA, but expected numbers were far better this past year for the Mets than what they were in 2019 with the Yanks. And the walk rate. Adam Ottavino hasn't had a walk rate this low in the 60-plus inning span of a season in his entire career. He had a 2.22 walks per nine back in 2014 with the Rockies in 65 innings, but was still better this past year at 2.19. Had a 1.74 in only 10 innings, so I'm not counting that in 2015. Then in 2016, 2.33 walks per nine. And from there, from 2017 all the way until 2021, that span of, I can't do math, 5 years, right around 5 years or so, Adam Ottavino was absolutely atrocious with his walk rate. Comes to the Mets, he gets it right once again, and all we have to hope as Mets fans is that walk rate, even if it jumps to like 2.5, closer to 3, that's still far better than what his career average has been. So I'm very excited about Adam Ottavino. I'm very happy that they brought this man back. I'm a little surprised more than anything. I knew that they needed another high leverage reliever. We spoke about it in the Bleav in Queens podcast that came out yesterday. But for them to come out and do this now after landing David Robertson is just, it really, really helps you feel more comfortable about this team heading into 2023. And there is a very solid chance that they're not done either. John says Mets and Yanks are in on Brandon Drury. Where did you see that, John? Can you let me know? Let me know what source you saw that from over Twitter or whatever it was. I'd appreciate it. But let me get a poll here in the live stream. Again, Mets bring back their man, Adam Ottavino. The New York native is going to be staying in Queens for assumably another 2 years because I don't see him opting out of that deal after the upcoming season. Bear with me 1 second, guys. Okay, now we got that in there. Yes, yes, I have heard about Liam Hendricks, and that is definitely a topic of discussion. I plan to expand further on later today or tomorrow. The goal, however, is to still have a video come out on Hendricks today. I'm not gonna lie, I was literally working on it as we speak. Mets and let's see, Yankees and Mets are interested in Drury. Oh, see, here's the thing though. I'm getting that's from MLB Scoops, guys. I don't I'm not gonna sit here and report about these these makeshift accounts, Scoops got one thing right, I noticed over the past 2 weeks, and that was Chris Bassett to Toronto. He definitely found out someone with information prior because I also knew about Bassett prior to him signing with the Blue Jays. That was aside from MLB Scoops' Twitter. So I appreciate everyone tagging me in this, and if it leads to anything, then cool. I mean, he said the same thing, however, about the Mets' interest in Profar and other players, and I think at the end of the day, it's just putting two and two together until we see further reporting because anyone with common sense knows that the Mets are evaluating all bats out there on the market. Don't doubt MLB Scoops. It's nothing personal. I just cannot go out of my way to say do a video or anything about that on a report like this. I'm not going to do that. Okay. For obvious reasons. So nothing personal against him. He got the Bassett stuff right. I know that. I remember seeing that. But the point that I'm trying to make is when you see these certain accounts that, are trying to stay anonymous, reporting the best they can. I mean, when it comes to the Mets and their interest in bats, literally every tweet that I've seen out there regarding potential connections with the Mets and an offensive player in free agency, aside from what was actually like factually reported and Conforto and Martinez, I mean, you're seeing all the players that I just discussed in my video the other day. Now it's being further reported by, anonymous accounts essentially. So yeah, no shit. I should say that the Mets have a level of interest in Drury. We just don't know to what degree. Yeah, of course they're going to have interest in probably Profar, Pollock for sure, Adam Duvall, Trey Mancini, all these guys the Mets have a level of interest in. That is common sense. It's the matter of what is going to be further reported by people that are more reliable, and two, who are they actually going to land out of that mix, assuming they do? And if not, what are they going to do, say, via trade? That's another good question. And the trade rumors are starting to pick up today, and I'm excited to get into them. But yeah, nothing personal against MLB Scoop Strain. Those another not anonymous, accounts out there. Like all the power to you. I'm just not going to go out of my way and view that singular report as factual because they simply don't have the credibility to this point to prove that they are as factual. It's as simple as that. And Sandy, thank you for the donut. I appreciate that. DeGrom gone. DeGrom perks gonna change. Yes, yes. I even have Bassett still in there, and I think Taiwan. I got to change my entire stuff for the perks for the memberships. I'm well aware. I'm still behind the eight ball with that. I still need to do that. That is 100% true. McCutcheon's still available. Yes, he is. I don't think he's a top priority for the Mets at all, but I'd imagine he's in that mix. Anything new on McCann? Just we know that the McCann is McCann's agent. They've made known that they're ready to leave the Mets and change scenery, and good for them because it's not like they did anything productive here outside of doing some nice community work, and I commend McCann for that. Outside of that, really not much when it comes to on-field performance. And the Mets certainly want to get rid of McCann, but I think McCann, he is inevitably not going to be in Met next year. It's just a matter of can the Mets get someone to eat that contract at all, even like 50%, or are they just going to dump him like they did with Cano? And that very much can be a possibility because there is not a chance in hell that I see the Mets starting next season with three catchers aside from Alvarez and McCann, Nido, and Narvaez in the starting roster. I just don't foresee that happening. But again, guys, everyone just chiming in. Breaking news: the Mets have re-signed Adam Ottavino to a 2-year, $14.5 million contract, player option after the first year. He'll be making on average AAV of $7.25 million, and it does appear that he is in fact not done. Also, some key notes today from what we saw with the presser with Justin Verlander today. He just seems like the utmost professional. Seems very excited to be here. Seems genuine, and I love that when he was asked about coming here and what it means not only for him but where he's at in his career. Why not retire now when he's done it all? And he said it would be doing a disservice to everyone that's helped him along the way and himself with knowing that he has so much left in the tank, like not even close to being done. And it would be a disservice for the grind that I put on my body and the sacrifice I made, taking a step away from my family over the years. He's like, I haven't had a summer since I was 5, so he's like, he's been grinding his entire career and he has no reason to stop now, especially after winning the Cy Young, after returning from a 2-year absence due to Tommy John surgery. Yeah, I'm damn excited about Verlander. I really am. He seems like he's in good spirits, and for good reason when you're making like 43.3 mil for your first year under contract. But I really think that Verlander is going to do well here, and I'm excited to see him and Max rekindle that friendship. Of course, they spent their time not only in Detroit together, but they've been working out in the offseason in Jupiter, Florida. And I do know that Verlander just recently bought a house in that area too. So that's another thing to keep in mind. So just like what Max Scherzer did, Verlander did the same thing of recent. They sold their place in Cali, I believe, and they bought a place in, was it? I think they went from Cali to Jupiter, just like what Scherzer did an off season ago. Oh, thank you for the kind words, my man. I appreciate that. That soup discussion is questionable. Chili is not soup. I never said chili is soup. So, but if you want to blame anyone, blame Joe, blame Rec. They're the ones that started the soup combo. I just want to get into the work like I always do. But of course, we have to start the show with nonsense because this is Bleav in Queens. You're not going to get professionals out here, obviously. Appreciate the kind words, though. I'm seeing a lot of debates in here. Did we sign Pollock? No, we didn't sign Pollock. The Mets are definitely in the market for a bat, though. That is certain. Could they sign Pollock? Absolutely. Guys, everyone here in the live show just chiming in or watching and replay. Again, thank you all so much for being here. Were you likely good we get Devers before the trade deadline? Not likely at all, I would say, Tyler. As of now, it's not likely at all. I will say this regarding Devers. He, of course, is a possibility for any team that is trying to shell out top prospects. The Mets are the reluctant team. I think the Mets, of course, have a chance just like any other team. But first, we need to find out for certain that Devers is not extending with the Red Sox. And that wouldn't be surprising at all because they've sucked. I mean, they got rid of Mookie Betts. They let Xander walk. And Devers might just be the next man up now to be gone. So that's something we'll talk about more and more down the line. I'm sure I'll do some videos and live streams about it. But for right now, I do not think a Devers trade is likely whatsoever. Just because it's not likely doesn't mean it can't happen. Just not. I think what's far more likely for the Mets right now, if they're going to trade, I think they're going to trade for a reliever still. And Liam Hendricks seems like it's very much of interest for them. Just depends on the value. The Mets don't need to trade for Hendricks, especially after getting Ottavino back. But the thought of landing Hendricks for this bullpen would truly take it to. You could argue this would be the best bullpen in baseball with that core four. Could you, I mean, just Diaz, Robertson, Ottavino, Raley, Hendricks. That'd be pretty disgusting. Not gonna lie. And I'll expand more on Hendricks in a separate video and live streams. So stay tuned for that. I have a full breakdown on him, and I'll explain what it could potentially take to get him, things of that nature. Yeah, I saw the scoop stuff, Matthew. Thank you. Let's see. What's up, Hog? He says, thanks for taking my question. Are you more excited for Kate Upton or Justin Verlander? Is it okay to be excited equally for both? I honestly think the excitement for Kate comes far more with my brother than it does I. Kate, of course, it was, that dream girl for many, many people around my age. She's only 30, remember that. But she's more in the class for my brother, who's in his mid-20s versus me, who's only 22. So, like, my brother had numerous years where Kate Upton was a poster on his walls, old Sports Illustrated poster of herself that you probably get from Walmart. And yeah, I think if you ask my brother that question, he might say Kate. But for me, I'd say around 50-50, if not give it a JV, just because just from JV's presser alone, getting to hear him talk about how he goes about his decision making, you know, what it means being Met, how much he loved Steve Cohen and how he approached free agency with him from the jump. I just have very good vibes with Verlander, and he's already growing on me more than what he has. I have concerns with Verlander, just like anyone else, when it comes to down the stretch and in postseason, but got to give the guy credit. He stepped up in his second World Series start this year, and that ultimately led to the Astros winning a championship. So I got to give him credit where credit's due. Thank you so much for the comment, no less, Hog. Appreciate you. Hey, Jack, thank you for the dono. Ottavino gives us someone Showalter trust. Absolutely. And let's see here. Let's go. We finally have the back end, the bullpen. Yep. And again, the Mets might not be done. I think Hendricks will be more of a luxury situation should it happen, but it's definitely something that we'll be talking about. Was this obsession with Conforto? I don't think it's as much of an obsession. Again, hey, Jack, thank you for the dono. I don't think it's as much of an obsession as it is knowing that Conforto has pretty much the highest upside of the bats still out there. And for what the Mets need most, which is not only a guy that can help at DH, but in the corner outfield, because Canada doesn't play every day, you want a capable fourth outfielder, or maybe make Canada fourth outfielder by having Conforto get the bulk of starts. And that's what Conforto brings you. He also brings you more pop in your lineup, can easily, as long as his swing goes back to normal and hopefully has a bounce back year, you can easily get 20 to 25 home runs out of Conforto between 70 and 90 RBIs, will hit you between, I'd imagine, 250, 260 plus, and give you maybe even higher. It could be Ron, and an OBP in that 340, 350 range. I mean, people sleep on Michael Conforto so much. If Michael Conforto performs to the expectation that you want to see Conforto perform to, he's still very much a good player in this league. And again, among the players out there who has defensive upside, who again, even though he had a down 2021, was in the 74th percentile in outs above average in right field, and an arm strength 89th percentile. There's a lot of things to like about Michael Conforto. You don't have to love him, but you don't have to hate him either, to realize that his role in the Mets would simply be to help solidify this lineup. And I would be surprised if he didn't, truly. Like, let's be real. And he has to bank on himself now. Let's not forget everything that Conforto's lost over the past 2 years. I mean, he's a guy that declined a $120 million extension and entering the 2021 season. And you really couldn't blame him, because if he just performed to his caliber in that year, and he didn't have the hamstring injury, and if the Mets didn't have a piss poor approach offensively like they did universally, not only with Conforto, McNeil, same thing. He was cheeks that year. Lindor had that terrible start to the year. I mean, everyone and their mother was not good offensively for the Mets in 2021. Conforto was just one of those many. And because of him betting on himself, a guy that was expected to make around $170+ million in the open market on a long-term deal entering that offseason, now he had nothing, and then he suffered a shoulder injury while training that had him out for this entire past year because he had to have surgery. So, I mean, talking about bad luck, Michael Conforto is the definition of bad luck. And I'm not saying that Conforto isn't a risk. I'm not denying that whatsoever. Yeah, we don't know how his shoulder is going to look. So if the Mets don't get him, I'd imagine that would be a factor. But more than anything, I think if Michael Conforto doesn't come here, which is very much a possibility that Michael doesn't come here, I wouldn't be surprised in the slice if he doesn't land here. I think it would be more so based on his decision-making than it would be the Mets, solely because of the fact he wants to play every day, I'd imagine. I know that recent reports from Ken Rosenthal explain that you don't know how much fielding you're going to get from him in the beginning coming back from his shoulder injury. He may have to limit his throwing. If so, makes even more sense at DH. But just talking the hypothetical that Conforto wants to get as many at-bats as possible, be in the field as much as possible, and, get those offensive numbers up, you could argue that there are better options elsewhere than being with the Mets, even though the RBI rates, I'm assuming, would be high with this offense. Even if he went to Colorado, go to a batter's box for a year. If he went to there are parks that are more hitter friendly than Citi Field for a guy looking to be on a 1 or tops 2-year deal, expected to hit the market again, and hopefully for his sake get close to the payday that he was hoping to get to this past offseason, right? So Yeah, Conforto's an interesting one. There's definitely pros and cons to him. I'm not denying that at all. I've always been a Conforto fan, but I'm not going to sit here and say, though, he's the best thing since sliced bread. He, of course, isn't. But what's available in the open market, you could argue that Conforto is amongst the best options. And I think that is a fair argument for what the Mets need. Defensive versatility, more than a standalone DH, things of that nature is what I'm referring to, not solely just the bat. I hope I explained myself well there. And again, if you guys disagree, that's fine. I'm just, again, sharing my raw thoughts here. Let's see. When it comes to a utility role, Profar, you can. I agree. He is. I don't think Profar is going to happen. I think the Mets want more pop. I do. I do. Might be a little contrary to what Billy Epler has preached about not necessarily needing slugging, but more so just more runs scored. You know, driving more runs in. But we'll see. So I don't think that they go in hand at all, Ray. Because here's the thing: the reports that the Mets are connected with Liam Hendriks. I mean, this has been going on for a couple days, clearly, while the Mets Epler's known this entire time that there's been a strong likelihood that Ottavino was coming back. I mean, Epler's known that Ottavino was coming back he could have known since, midday yesterday, just had to finalize all the fine details, so for the Hendrick stuff to come out essentially after that tells you that the Mets are still in on Hendricks. Hendricks isn't a need for this team. He's a luxury if it happens, right? He's a luxury. If you add him to this bullpen after signing Adam Ottavino, I mean, it gives you can argue the best bullpen in baseball. It really can. With a Mets rotation that has potential to be amongst the best in baseball. So, yeah, I mean, sign me the hell up, William Hendricks. But again, I'm going to bite my tongue a little bit on discussing Hendricks because I want to expand on him further in a video separately in separate live streams. I really have more that I want to share on Hendricks and the potential that could be had if the Mets land him. Right now, I want to focus more so on Adam Ottavino, on why it's great that the Mets were able to get this done, because more than anything, for me and for the minds of many, this did not seem as much of a likelihood after they landed both Brooks Raley and the main one in David Robertson. So now the Mets bullpen construction is Edwin Diaz, Adam Ottavino, David Robertson, Brooks Raley, Drew Smith. I'd imagine one of Tyler McGill, David Pearson, potentially. And then you have all your so-so options of guys that could be impactful. We don't know to what degree. Jeff Brigham, Eliza Hernandez, I expect to be in AAA to start the year pitching-wise. You just want more pitching depth there. Steven Ridings is a guy I expect to start in AAA coming back from his injury. But he's a guy that very well can be in the Mets pen sooner than later if he produces the way that we hope. A flamethrowing stuff. Zach Green, who the Mets picked up in the Rule 5 draft. If they keep him, even though that might be a little surprising if they do, because they need roster room right now too. And the Mets have only kept 3 Rule 5 draft picks over the past 30 plus years. So that's something to keep a note. Mets had everything clear with their 40-man earlier today because Yon Lopez signed with the Giants overseas, not the San Francisco Giants, but the Japanese Giants or Korean Giants. I don't know which one they are, so my apologies. But he was bought out of his contract by the Mets of $600,000 to sign overseas. So that freed the 40-man spot for Omar Narvaez to become official. But now that the Mets re-sign Adam Ottavino, they have to make another move. So I'd imagine it will be another reliever that's either going elsewhere or be cut, whatever it will be. I don't know. The Mets have more roster moves that they're going to make. Yeah, where is this Korean or Japanese? Again, please don't be offended. I don't know. Tokyo. Okay. I want to say it was Japanese just by the name, the start. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I do not watch Japanese baseball often. However, it's something that I want to do more of, specifically with the MPB, especially with having Kodai Senga and others. I want to get more involved in focusing in that market for guys that are destined to hit the MLB or the next couple of years. That way I have more of a personal background aside from just looking them up as soon as I hear the Mets are linked to a guy and figuring out in that short time what are they all about? So there's actually a lot of exciting things about the MPB. I've been doing more homework on it of recent, but I would be lying if I said I knew exactly where that Giants team was from. So thank you for the clarification. I appreciate that.